Okay, so that looks like us going live. Evening, guys. Hope you are all well. It's a lovely evening in June, and we have the even lovelier Amanda Hill. So, good evening, Amanda. How are you?
Good evening. A tad warm, but we shouldn't complain.
Shan't complain. Shan't complain. Guys, it's really helpful when this goes live if you can drop a like, let us know that someone's watching, and yeah, say hello. So, wow, looks like we've already got 10 people on so far. So you are all very welcome. Thank you again, Amanda, for agreeing to come on. We all know how busy an Amazon business can be, and you seem to be the master or mistress of plate spinning. So yes, you are an expert at that. So we know that your time is very valuable, and thank you for spending some of it with us. So just for kind of clarity, I'll let Amanda introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her, what she's been doing, how long she's been selling, that type of thing. I'll drop a few links just to let a few people know that they were live. So I'll pass it over to you, Amanda. So
Perfect.
Feel free to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to come and chat to human beings, because the past year has been, well, very bonkers, hasn't it? It's just the amount of people that I've physically seen, I can virtually count on one hand, which is really quite scary. And I'm sure many of you are in the same boat. So where did I start? Crumbs. About 8 years ago, I think, possibly.
Wow.
I own a social media company, and my clients were basically saying to me, right, we want to sell physical whatever, will you teach us? So I was teaching them social and to be found and to do stuff, and they wanted to transition, and I want to teach something I've never done. So I went out there and thought, right, let's go and work out how this thing works. Can't be that hard, really, can it? So I had no budget, no credit cards, don't do credit cards. And yeah, and no idea, absolutely zero idea. Most people now can go and Google and YouTube and Vimeo and 1,000,001 places where you can get gurus that come along and at least show you something. I just sort of set up the account and thought, right, what do I do now? And did merchant fulfilled for, gosh, the best part of 12 months before I did fulfilled by Amazon, because I didn't get it. You know, I thought, well, I don't know if they're going to sell, so why the heck would I put the little amount of money that I've got into something that I send into an Amazon warehouse? And there wasn't all the apps out there now that make it so much easier. So I was using my local wholesaler, which is half a mile down the road from where I live, and I would list everything in sight. Now, I have had retail business in the past, so I have a bit of inkling of certain things that sell. And some of the things that I would list, I would then go and buy. I'd download the money from Amazon when you could do it straight away. And then I'd go and buy the products, and then I'd ship it. And it all goes swimmingly. The problem was, of course, if the wholesaler runs out of product and you've sold it, you're kind of on a sticky wicket. You know, I'm sure even now people have been in that boat with all the online arbitrage and whatever. And that's essentially, you know, what I was doing. I was helping the wholesaler had what I wanted, and I still had no clue. I didn't even twig at the time that the lower the sales rank, the more that sell. And it was just a research project of, right, well, I know these sell, why does it sell? And I know these sell, why does it sell? And I sort of worked a lot of the stuff out for myself. And then I've always used, you've probably heard of it, the 20-80 rule, sort of 80% of your turnover, 20% of your products. As long as you keep ahead of the game on those, then you'll start doing okay. And I brought a friend on board when it started going well, and we both sort of started the journey together. And we had a couple of really cool wins with bits and pieces, and it started going really well. And then sort of everybody, Q4, Christmas is always a time that people, really indulge, and they want something now, and they've forgotten, and they've left stuff till the last minute. And that's where Amazon really comes into its own, isn't it? It sort of gets people out of a hole. And realised that the main things people were buying were essential stuff and quick fix stuff. And then came Q4. You have never ever seen a house piled high to the ceiling with boxes. I was meeting my postman 3 times a day at the box, because online business account, what on earth was that? And if I'd gone to fill it up, then I'd fill every box up. So he'd give me bags. And I was on first name terms with every single person who picked up from that box. And they'd even ring me and say, Amanda, we're here early. Where are you? And it's sort of, and I started to learn more about what was selling and why and how. And the house got completely overtaken, which was bonkers. And I really did need to move on and up. Unfortunately, as we were starting to go mad and take off, my husband was diagnosed with throat cancer. So I pulled everything back to home. So back, to my little bedroom and the rest of my house, while my husband went through sort of 6 months worth of treatment. And I think he's got to be now 6 years clear, which is really cool.
Wow, congratulations.
So as soon as we got the all clear, and I'm not even going to brush over it and say it was easy, because anybody who's been there will know that it absolutely isn't. And the hardest part is for those around, my husband was out of it for most of that time. So he really had no idea. And I took a retail premises literally on my doorstep to grow the business to the next level, because it's all well and good working from home, but I knew I was leaving my orders to the last minute, and I'd gone fulfilled by Amazon by this point and realised I'd missed a trick for a year and a bit, which, hey, that's fine. You learn in hindsight. But the retail shop was where I could then do way more. Unfortunately, a retail premises selling penny sweets and Christ knows what else, and all the other stuff that we were testing on Amazon as well, and we were there 5 years, is not the place to grow your business. You need a space where you do not have interruptions, where you do not have kids coming in and whatever. So literally just before COVID hit, I'd already taken another office because I needed more space. And my leases were coming up, and I thought, you know what, let's just take a leap of faith here and see what happens. And I spent my entire weekend up at 1 o'clock in the morning researching every single space within a half an hour drive of my home. And the space I'm in now, this is my office, and I have a training room and a downstairs warehouse. So we now have 2,500 square feet instead of wow. 250 feet in my bedroom. And we moved in here the November before the world went bonkers. And varying staff issues later, and then COVID hitting in the March, I have had points where I've sat on the floor and thought, what are you doing? So every single one of us has had issues with COVID for varying different reasons. I've been very fortunate. None of my family have been sick. Because I genuinely believe that the November through to the February before it was official that we had it. I was so ill when we moved here.
Wow, right, okay.
I was coughing so hard I broke a rib. I moved an office and a retail premises, sick as a dog, and then jumped straight into Q4 with staff off sick, so did it all myself. So 3 brand new members of staff. 1 started in the February, 2 started in the March, and we thought, right, let's go and take the world by storm. Unfortunately, a storm hit the world instead. And again, we're back to what are we doing? But you know what? If you believe in yourself enough and you put enough things in place and you follow some basic, I'm not a rules person, but you know, if you sort of look at what you're doing and what's working for you, then you can turn anything around. And it was, what can we get? Where can we get it from? What can we do that I feel comfortable with? Because trying to find stuff was, you know, prices were doing this daily and several times a day. One of the wholesalers that I started my business with was profiteering in a huge way. And I hate that. I think I like to sleep at night, you know, and I didn't like what I was seeing, to the point that now I don't need them. I was going in there daily and several times a day. I can't remember the last time I personally went in there because they didn't have what I needed. I obviously have all the apps in the world now that shows me what sells, but I can look elsewhere, and I found stuff that worked for me. Not only that has worked for me, but this year our turnover is going to double on last year.
Wow.
So it was, I don't know, it was looking at what people need regularly. And that is the key to a good product, isn't it? Mm. They love it, they can afford it, they're happy to pay for it, they love what it does, and they come back for more time and again. And if you get that combination, then you're kind of, you know, halfway there. I mean, I'm sure we've all had issues with Amazon with our favourite products and whatever, and other people crashing the prices. But you will find products you're comfortable with. And you just, I always had a rule. Test it with 1, try it with 3. Let's see what happens with 5. If they go uber quickly, you take the lot. And, you know, it's, I do still follow that to a degree, but you do need to be careful, especially when Amazon are hammering your limits. You need to be wide, not just, you know, not deep with your product ranges these days. And yeah, the days of stacking for 6 months have gone, because you can't, you know, I mean, my storage fees for Amazon last month, I believe, were about £150. Well, I can find better things to do with £150, but there are people out there that are paying thousands. And I'm annoyed with myself because with all the rate changes and stuff, my sell-through rate is 32 days.
Yeah, we were talking. I was just blown away with that. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah, just over a month, which, what's that, 11, 12 turns a year, and you're still being restricted. So very, very challenging.
It's quite scary. And, you know, I have a few products that don't turn in the speed I'd like them to, but I also have some products that the second they hit, they're gone. And I don't do what a lot of the overseas sellers do, and just pile it in and wait and hope for the best. Hope is not on my business things to. I like to know.
You can't take hope to the bank, really, can you? Yeah,
not really.
No.
And when you've got $7,000 a month going out, it's, you know, it's not a place.
Yeah. Just for clarity, guys. Yeah, Amanda's overheads are just in around about 7K a month. So we can talk about figures and things later on. So that's kind of the level that Amanda's at. So yeah, I mean, there's a heck of a lot in there. I mean, I do remember during COVID that we had our account suspended for 3 to 4 weeks for a similar issue that you had. Amazon just flicking a switch somewhere, happens. And I think you were badly kind of let down recently with eBay as well and the courier.
So this time last year, or a week or 2 before, my Amazon account was shut down for 5 weeks. My eBay account got slaughtered thanks to Royal Mail non-delivery. I now do 24 and 48 hour tracked. If you're not doing tracked, you're onto a hiding for nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially with Amazon.
Totally, absolutely. And my eBay account will be coming back online properly, although it is back online, it's nowhere near where it was, in 11 days and counting. So you absolutely have to have plan B, C, D, and E. You cannot rely on one source of income. It's just not feasible. It really isn't. I mean, if you're going to do that, you might as well have a job, because, you know, nothing in this world is going to be the same tomorrow as it was today. There's always going to be something that, you know, will change. And sadly with Amazon, that could be several times a day. They seem to change more often than I change my shoes, but there you go. Yeah. But if you work your business right to work for you, if you look after your customers, if you build your customer list, and there's many ways to do it, and if you treat it like a business, it will pay you back like a business. But you do really have to be on the ball with what you're doing. There's lots. So,
yeah, can you talk a little bit more about that? So if you treat it as a business, it will pay you back as a business. What does that look like for someone who's maybe watching this and is maybe new? Or, I mean, yeah, I would say that I personally love selling Amazon. It's a great brand. I love buying off it as a customer. It's fantastic. It's a massive opportunity. It is very challenging though. And you do need a pretty thick skin if you haven't already got one. I would say I'm going to put this. I'm not going to put it politically correctly.
Just do it as it is.
It's easier. I find it's easier to deal with Amazon than my previous employers. So, yeah. So there you go. I'm lucky to have a really tough previous job. So, yeah, I would say that. But for someone else maybe who's new or thinking about getting started, and there are there's a lot of noise in a lot of the groups. I mean, what would you say to someone who is looking, okay, it's the new normal, COVID, all that type of stuff. I do want to start something, but I'm contrasting stories, so to say. What would you say to someone who is looking to get started soon?
Okay, so your hardest part of this business is sticking it out. You will come across obstacles, especially at the beginning. Now, I started this business having no idea whatsoever. And I had this little ideal in my head, pretty pink practical. In fact, I'm sure my shop probably still says all that nonsense. This business will succeed if you give people what they need and you look after them. So if you're merchant fulfilling, firstly, you will get shut down if you don't send them out in the speed you should be. But look after your customers. So if you're sending stuff out, do not put it in a jiffy bag and think, yeah, that'll do. Your customers aren't that do type of customers. You know what? It's hard getting feedback. However, if you send something out in box rather than jiffy bag, quickly, looks nice, even with a leaflet or something that says this is how this works, or whatever it is, as something to make the customer feel special. I used to get sweeties sometimes when I bought things, but it's whatever differentiates you from everybody else out there, and they will come back. Think somebody, you know, then you make somebody feel special. You can't replicate that feeling. Yeah, you make somebody feel rubbish, and the first thing they're going to do is leave you negative feedback for a start. You know, you have to be at the top of your game or at the bottom of your game to get feedback of whichever side it is. If something's gone wrong with what you've sent and it's parceled beautifully and you've put a sweetie in it or you've put whatever in it, do you think they're much more likely to come back to you and say, this has arrived, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but, rather than just go instantly and say, this is rubbish, or claim an A to Z or whatever. So start treating your customers like you would like to be treated by yourself. and you're halfway there. Now, obviously, if Amazon are fulfilling for you, it's quite difficult to make it more personal, but there's still things you can do to make it happen. But also, this is a journey. Yeah, it's not a sprint.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, the money you put in, unless you've got an older account, you're not getting it out straight away. So you start cocking up one on top of the other, and you might as well have said goodbye to that investment because you may not get it back. And it is, if you want it for the long term, there are rules you're going to have to follow. And I'm not a great one for rules, but looking after customers is one that I will absolutely always follow. And think like the customer. What do they need and why are they buying? So think like yourself, or the niches of things that you're in. I've acquired yet another creature. There's a tiny little hamster thing behind me. He needs feeding. He might be the size of a 10-pence piece, but if I don't feed him, he's dead. Yeah. So food, bedding, toys. Oh my God, these things. This cage is ridiculous. It's £150 worth of cage for something the size of a 10-pence piece. I'm in a niche group for people who rescue hamsters, and they're very militant. But they're talking about sellers and stuff they're selling. They're talking about the toys they need. They're having a crack at pets at home because of whatever. The niches are where you're going to start your business. So is it pet food? Is it health and personal care? Is it, you know, start somewhere, because it's great having a sale and you still get excited with a new product and you still get excited, you know, hustling a bit and whatever. But if they're going to buy from you, wouldn't you rather have 2 or 3 things in one go? Because then you've put all the different things that they're going to want in one place, and your sales are going to start rocketing up.
Wow. Very interesting, actually, to appeal to a customer rather than an actual listing or a product. Because a lot of, I suppose, a lot of the techniques are kind of find a product, find a source of that product, send it in, rinse and repeat. But I suppose if you're profiling your actual customer, then it takes, very interesting.
So find one product that hits all of those and test a couple of others that may not be ranking yet. That's because you haven't put the right buyers in front of it. But you know how Amazon works, the penny folds thing. When somebody buys one thing and they buy this, it tells the next customer. I mean, this is a technique used by people who write books. So you put a book in a niche, you get all your friends all the way around the country to buy the top selling in those categories along with yours. Every other buyer who goes for the top seller now sees yours as well. Do you not think they're going to try them?
Yeah, I would do something similar like that. Wow, that's really interesting. Wow. We actually have, I think it's a record so far this year. We have 25, well, 22, 24, 25 people on at the moment. So we're kind of halfway, guys. Just for a little bit of clarity, Amanda is also doing another live in her group after this at 8:30. So we're going to finish fairly sharpish, maybe 8 or just after. But if you guys have any questions for Amanda, I think perhaps what impressed everyone, Amanda, is just kind of the sort of numbers that you are doing. So if we can spend a little bit of time talking about that, if you're comfortable to do that. You know.
I don't hide. It's, you know, so you won't see me jumping all over the place and pushing numbers out and screenshots. It's not my way. I might occasionally, if somebody winds me up because they're being, and it tends to be gentlemen, sorry. Actually, it might be gentlemen because there are more men Amazon sellers. It seems to be that way. But numbers of what I'm doing, currently on track for 500,000 for this year at the end of this month.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
There was a question, sorry to cut across you. There was a question just popped up there from someone. We'll post a couple of links towards the end of the live. So if you want to join Amanda's group, very welcome to. And if you want to jump on the live later on as well, I'll post them now actually. So sorry, yes. So you're actually on track to do.
We're on track to do 7 figures this year.
Fantastic.
And I've helped other people do that too. So I think it is a question of being consistent. So you can't sort of put 10 boxes in 1 week and then forget about it for a month. If you are careful and you track, and you need to be now when you've been jumped on and had your allowances crushed. And also do merchant fulfilled if you can as well, because people forget that not everybody has Prime. And it may be that yours merchant fulfilled plus postage is actually cheaper for them than buying it from Prime on Amazon. So you do get 2 cracks at it as well, and you get more chance to rotate the buy box. Now, you do, of course, have to allow for postage, and also you definitely want an online business account to do that. So it's absolutely imperative that if you are doing merchant fulfilled, you either have a pickup or you get on very well with your local sorting office or the people who are picking up from you, because you really do need everything tracking on where it needs to be.
Yeah, I think I've known you for a while in the community, Amanda. I think what's clearly coming across is you're very good at building relationships with people. You're real, I don't want to use the word people person, but yeah, if you're running an actual warehouse business and you're doing a lot of merchant fulfilled, it definitely, pays dividends to be on good terms with UPS drivers, postmen, whoever it may be, because they'll do you a good turn.
Always.
UPS guys, my UPS guy's a great guy. Came to pick up from the house because I prepped a merchant fulfilled here because I was away at the weekend. So yeah, it really, really does help. Absolutely. So yeah, I think we can see a couple of interesting things in the background. Amanda, do you want to talk a little bit about how you're getting on with Avon and that side of things?
So I added Avon 2.5 years ago, and I sort of poodled along with it for a little while, as you do. I mean, do I look like your typical Avon lady? Seriously, I am absolutely not pushing brochures through everybody's door. Don't get me wrong, products are fantastic. And the more I've got into it and the more I've done, the more I'm thinking, how did I not know this? I mean, there are certain lines at certain times of the year that the world and his wife knows about. Like this one, love this. Can you see it? Well, anybody who's an outdoor type knows exactly what that is. It's actually a moisturizer, would you believe? It just happens to have something in it that the bugs don't like. So people use it as a mozzie repellent and they swear by it. And we love it when Lorraine and Dr. Hillary talk about it on the TV, because the sales just go like this. Not that they're not right now, because they're off the scale, because the sun has come out for a change. But sort of March last year, little team of people, we were doing 35, 40 grand a month between us, which is not bad because there weren't that many of us. Then COVID hit and we soared to 160 grand a month turnover with not very many more people in the team. Because we get our online stores.
Wow.
So we get our online store, so we don't have to ship. We can just guide people to the store. Avon fulfill it for us. They are our drop shippers if that's what we choose to do. And as long as that we've got our store link, people can buy. I can't see who you guys are. So when you post a comment, can you put who you are and I'll promise to respond to you. I'm registered on Amazon. No, I do lots of things. Direct shipping from Avon, absolutely. And actually this year, so here we go, some more numbers. Last year I was the number 3 seller. The year before I was the number 3 seller. This year I'm number 1, having done around 150 grand this year myself. My husband's number 2, having done around 150 grand himself. He hasn't really, bless him, but there you go. He does, however, take stuff on the golf course, and he does quite a nice line in dry oil on the golf course. But we also have in the top 12, 5 people in the team. So we're doing pretty damn well. And a lot of those are digital sales, which means they're going direct to the links and we don't have to do it. Margins are tight on a lot of stuff if you're doing it on Amazon or on eBay, and you need to know how to buy it. There is a trick, and sometimes it's just waiting for the right brochure coming along or the right deal coming along. Other times it's knowing how to do it and what you're going to get back out of it. I'm also a silver ambassador, which means my team do over £160,000 every month. And everybody in the team's doing quite well as well. And we play it so very differently to every other team out there. We don't have half a country in our team. We have focused individuals who want to do very nicely. And who doesn't want bubble bath, hand gel? I mean, this stuff on the market when the prices were going through the roof, hang on, where have we gone? They were like £6 and £7 a go and they were being hiked, and that's to buy wholesale. Well, we didn't have that issue with Avon. We got everything we needed and it was delivered. If I ordered it before 10 a.m. in the morning, I had it on my doorstep the next day. You
Wow.
get that anywhere else. And,
yeah,
you know,
especially during last year.
And also, people that are selling into France, Avon shut down in France. So if we get somebody who sells into France, well, happy days, because the people who want these products, like every product, like every niche, they go looking for them. And if they can't get them on their doorstep, they go online. And the first place they go is Amazon. So they'll pay a little bit more to get their products in their hand, especially the next day. The person who asked, am I just on Amazon? I also have my own lists. So I'm a huge advocate of controlling my own destiny, and people come to me direct and they can buy direct from me. I use something called ShipStation. So as long as I can pull a feed in, then I can ship all of my products from one place, from eBay, from Amazon, from wherever. And it takes exactly the same amount of time as it would have done if I was just merchant fulfilling for Amazon. So do use the tools that are around you, especially when you get to the size of using multi-channel.
Cool. Just for clarity, so that was a chap called Tez Arnold. Are you just on Amazon? So yeah, I mean, Amanda is multi-channel seller. She also has her own list, and kind of what that looks like is, you know, golf club manager might need to put an order in for some oil. You know, we're getting into kind of golf season if we're not there already. Pick up the phone, speak to Amanda. So that's kind of the benefit of, building a business in Amazon and potentially taking it elsewhere. Just to go through the rest of the questions. Simon Dingley, I posted two links, beg your pardon. So there's a link for Amanda's live later if you want to jump on that, but that should take them through to your group as well, Amanda. It's
not the group, it's actually an event on my personal profile.
Okay, well,
they can reach out to me personally, fb.com/Amanda Hill UK if you can't see me in the group.
Cool. And then there's also a link as well that'll, if you're interested in getting started on Avon, you can get in touch with Amanda via that link as well. Let's just see. Okay, thank you, Dee. Amanda is a great communicator, speaks simply, clearly, and very relatable, very knowledgeable.
Thank you.
Nice. So, yeah.
Who's got questions?
I'm just, if there's anyone else, guys, that has any other questions in terms of Amanda, Avon, what she's doing on Amazon, how she's managing her team, just drop a question and we'll get that answered. Will this be recorded, Chelsea? Yeah, so Chelsea, there'll be a replay posted in the group pretty much straight after. Clashes with bedtime in her house. So yeah, we were kind of up to so far this year. So you're on track to 7 figures this year, which is just amazing. Kind of the notes, the 2 big notes that I took, you've already spoke about the 80-20 rule. So focusing on the 20% of your products that does 80% of your sales, which we spoke a little bit about, but also just keeping it fun. The start of this year, for like my Amazon business, I spent some time putting together like company values, and one of them was joy or fun, because this is quite stressful, it's quite hard, you're putting a lot on the line. So yeah, you kind of want to have a bit of fun while you're doing it as well. I think you're a little bit like that too, Amanda.
I'm totally bonkers. I mean, who else has 2 cats and a hamster in their office, and in between doing 1,000,001 things? So I purchased something off Amazon, as you do. Hang on, I can't even see where this thing is. Right, these are the worst animal clippers in the world. And if she dares come out wherever she's gone, she's half clipped because she's driving me nuts, leaving fur everywhere. Who else does that in their office? I am bonkers, but yes. What did I do before all of this, whoever that is? I started as a journalist at 17, as you do, obviously.
Oh, wow.
I was very fortunate to be picked out of 5,000 people to write for the Sun newspaper. I ended up in the city working for Merrill Lynch, who repackaged bonds, and they were not my kind of people. While I was there earning salary from them, I set up an event company, hence the retail background. And I would go into the office covered in glitter and tell them I was training to be a go-go dancer. And I left corporate to run a retail and event business. And eventually social media was just kind of coming in. And what I did to grow my business became the business, because communication, writing are things that really, are me. So that wasn't difficult. And then Amazon was kind of, and e-commerce was a follow-on because my customers asked for it. And I've always taught, I've always helped people. So whatever environment I've been in, that is things I like doing. So, how many hours a day do you work to keep ticking over at this level? This is a job, darling. Yeah. Well, firstly, I have 2 cats in my office, so somebody comes in here 7 days a week for an hour or 2 at the weekend. I have a pickup at 10:45 on Saturday morning, and I have never got out of bed so early. I like to start my day being at my desk by 7:30, because the world is quiet and I can get on with what I want to do. It's like a little golden hour thing going on. Then I can plan what I'd like to achieve in the week. I do have staff, but there's still stuff, if they're not in, I have to do. I can set the day, and I can set the buying, and I can set the pattern of what's going to happen. But ultimately, when I first started, I had no nails because I kept breaking them with the Celotech gun and the boxes and the whatever paraphernalia you need when you first get going and you have no clue what the hell you're doing. But it's taken me 8 years to be where I'm happy to now grow.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I do find that if you get your best, I find I get my best work done before everyone else is kind of up. Yeah, there's less distractions, there's less phone calls and that type of thing. So that's interesting. So 8 years from kind of to this point now where you're, yeah, doing rather well.
My office is 3 times the size of my back bedroom where it started. So I've got a kitchen, a loo, there's a shower downstairs, there's 2 more loos downstairs, there's a huge training room up here. We also helped another business that is not on Amazon go from 0 to £1 million turnover in 9 months during COVID. We did all their shipping for them. And yeah, so we've got quite a lot going on. So you have to be on the ball. You need to be, you know.
Yeah. You ran a couple of events, or an event with Thomas and Al, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so is there any plans? Well, how do you plan?
We're going to do some training. So July is going to be the first people-to-people training here. We've got the space to do it. It's easy to get to. We can park. Weekends, it's dead here. So we're going to do that July. I know that there's a need for us to see people and to bounce off each other. That's the hardest bit, isn't it? You know, real human interaction, not just this online thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're just back from Liverpool, Eamon, Luke, and Liam, and like we have 2 or 3 meetings at least every single week, but just getting together, it's just different level. It really is. It's just not the same connection. It's very difficult.
It's not. Karen's just said she's been up to the office, and it is fantastic here, honey. And you are inspired more by people around you, and you know, you learn more because we get things in different ways. We really do. And it's just lovely to have the opportunity to see how somebody else does something, and it might resonate with you far better than, you know, how you've been doing it or how others have taught you to do it. And yes, we will absolutely be doing more. I think there's a huge need for all of us. I think for our mental well-being as well as anything else.
Here. A couple more questions. What would be the most important bit of advice for someone 6 months into their first year on Amazon and eBay? Tez, you're probably at the point where, I don't know, sounds like the honeymoon period's maybe worn off. But I don't know. I'm trying to read between the lines. Don't know about you, Amanda.
I think it kind of depends on how well they're doing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, tell us, I mean, what are you struggling with, or how are you doing, Tez? Because it's kind of different if you're at a point where if you're confident in things, then you can, I mean, we're planning for Q4 this week, over the next few weeks for our team. So yeah, if you're confident, then it's kind of time to, spend some time on forward planning. But if you're not, then that's something else as well. So
I think one of the things I wished I'd done when I first started was put some of the trackers in place. So like 0 and A2X, so that it took that element of issue out, because I didn't do that for an awfully long time, and I really should have done that. Because if you are going to scale, and the tools are out there for you to do that, you know, even SAS or any of the other tools that show you what sells at what price, at what profit, then if you're using those tools wisely and any budget that you have wisely, you can scale this pretty damn quickly. And if you don't have the planning in place to catch when you do smash the threshold, then, you know, you are in trouble, and that will cause you grief, and you really can be doing without that.
There you go. So at the stage where I want to start increasing my spend from 1,500 to 3K per month. So I think that's great advice. It's very exciting scaling, and Amazon is not quite, I suppose it is a bit like the Wild West at the moment. There's a lot of opportunity, and but yeah, you do need to have not sort of contingency, but definitely systems in place, and you need to know your numbers, especially when you hit that what is it? For about
It's 5,
7.
6.
Yeah, well, it's about 7K a month, isn't it? 7 and a bit K a month turnover. So if you're spending 3, you're probably going to double that in sales. So you'll be getting close to that threshold. If you're spending 3 to sell sort of double that. So yeah, definitely some great advice there, Amanda.
I think they need to go wide with their products as well. And also there's a business report. If they go into reports, and it's the bottom one, and it will show them what they've sold in the last 30 days. And it also then shows how much they've had the buy box. So that is the best indicator out there. So for argument's sake, they've sold 100 of an item, but they've only had the buy box 5%. They know that item sells shed loads and they need more of it in.
Wow, yeah, did that way.
So look at what you're already selling and look at how many others are selling it, obviously at whatever profit margin. But that report alone is the one that I use the most to work out my 80-20 rule. And if you just look at how many others have been selling, even without any software out there, if you just look at that one report, it will show you. So look at, there's a little toggle button across the top. So it says how many you've sold, but there's also one for the buy box as well to see what percentage you had the buy box. So it'll actually identify little gems that you're already selling. So make sure that you're actually getting more of it.
Cool. Okay, cool. So you're, well, that was Karen at the stage. Fantastic. Yeah, okay. So I'll post the link again for the live later on. And if you want to jump on that, guys, you're very welcome, I think.
It'd be interesting to see how long these guys have been going.
Yeah, I mean, guys, if you want to kind of pop a comment, I mean, for us, I think I'm getting close to 5 years on Amazon, which, I mean, the first couple of years was very quiet, but yeah, I've been around for a while now. So
how many times have you been shut down?
Shut down?
Suspended.
Just the once. But it's interesting because, like, it was 2019, and like you were saying that there was a few times last year you were sat on the floor thinking, yeah, no, I still like doing this. 2019 was kind of, so, but my last job, my last place of employment or whatever, the atmosphere really changed, and I thought, right, I'm either going to leave or I'm really going to push Amazon. So I thought, push Amazon. And like, if anyone's ever jumped on a call, I always tell the story about this watch. This was a watch I was selling 2 or 3 times a day on Amazon, making 60, 70 pounds profit each time. And I thought, happy days, I've made it. And there was that one, that's the AR2434. And then there's the AR2448, which was actually a nicer watch. But anyways, so 2019, going to holiday in France. And I thought, right, I need enough stock to go in to cover like 2.5 weeks of holiday. So I was buying from a wholesaler, completely legit, all that type of stuff. I was putting orders in for £500, 800, 1200. I was selling it. I thought, right, spend about 5K here. So dropped 5K on 2 watches, and 2 or 3 days into France, checked Seller Central, and it's like, where are my sales? It's like really slow. So check my emails. Emporio Armani had banned third-party sellers on Amazon. So I had like quite a bit of money tied up in that. Then, so that was basically all my capital tied up in those 2 items. Got them recalled, sold most of them on eBay. Actually, the wholesaler was good enough to take some of them on returns. So I kind of had to start again 2019. Credit card suspension, had that kind of October 2019. So had that, and then I was suspended April last year for about a month. So yeah, it's tricky to navigate.
And it's I mean, yours was an exceedingly expensive product, yeah. And I think I showed you this earlier. This is what caused, or amongst other things, caused mine last year. Where camera,
Pirates.
So I was £1 over what they wanted these selling at, and they went for price gouging for a £7 or whatever. 5 weeks it took me. That would have put most people out of business, but as an entrepreneur, you pivot, you find a way forward, you find plan B, C, D. You have an entire alphabet to go through sometimes. And
then the Greek alphabet as well. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a good one. We haven't tried that yet. But no, you have to be resilient. And sometimes you need somebody to bounce stuff off, and you need somebody to, help you sort of fight a path through. It isn't all plain sailing. You can make it easier for yourself by not going on particular products. For example, I wouldn't have been as brave as you and gone
brave. Yeah, that's one word for it. But
so we all have our barriers of where we're comfortable. You know what? Actually, when I first started this, I didn't know what fear was because I didn't know what failure was, and I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I just went for it. And I did have a few lucky breaks with a few bits and pieces. But it does take courage, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Or stupidity. I'm not sure which of the two you need the best balance of.
Well, the way I look at it is, if you're in it, you're in it. You've chosen to be here. So if you've chosen to be here, then you can't complain about anything because you can just walk away. If it wasn't your choice, then you kind of got grounds for moaning and all the rest of it. If you've chose to be here and you've chose to buy products and it hasn't worked out, then it's maybe not your fault why Emporio Armani doesn't like third-party sellers anymore, or it's maybe not your fault that a price is tagged, but ultimately it's your responsibility. So if you chose to be here, you have to take that responsibility. So I think like there is a lot of noise at the moment with IPI and that type of thing, but you just have to kind of roll with it, didn't you?
They did it last year, darling, didn't they?
And they do it every year, darling. Darling, they do it every quarter. Do you not remember? Absolutely. Do you remember whenever when was it? I think it was the start of 2020. It was batteries. Batteries was going to end. It was just anything with a battery you couldn't sell, and it was like, yeah, I'm still selling things with batteries now. So
one of my very, very first sales, bearing in mind I just kept selling stuff that was selling, was a very random product, and I did stop selling it before they were banned. And it was mothballs. Oh, and we were selling them like they were going out of fashion. And I couldn't work out why people were buying like caseloads of the really strong smelling camphor mothballs. Never occurred to me what the hell they were using them for. And when I found out, I stopped selling them straight away.
Right, go on then.
They were using them to hide the smell of pot when they were turning somebody's home into a drug factory.
Wow. I was gonna say moving house because, well, before COVID, a lot of the sales on Amazon is you move into a new house or you're moving house.
This was 8 years ago, but 7 years ago. But even so, that is what the drug dealers were using to mask the smell of pot. And I only knew because I used to own an estate agent and still do a few bits. But I went into and took possession of a property for somebody, and they were lining the room when I walked into the back. We got a locksmith to let us in, and I thought, oh my God. And that's exactly what they were using them for.
Wow.
So back to ethics, I couldn't sell that kind of number of something. Yes, all right, there were people out there who needed mothballs because they have moths or had moths, but not case quantity of.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's like 100 million products in Amazon. Yeah, it's one way to make money, but it's kind of how you make your money.
You know what? There's millions of products out there, and people are either not willing to put the time and effort in, or they think somebody should hand them a living on a plate. And sadly, it doesn't work like that. If you think like a buyer and you niche yourself properly to start with, and you don't have to be in one niche, you can have lots. There are millions of opportunities out there for you with small, medium, and large profit margins. And it's just which one is the easiest for you to get hold of the product and make it work for you. And there's so many different ways of doing it.
Absolutely. Well, there's 8 o'clock.
Whoop.
Just like that. Whoop. Let's just see if there are any other questions. So I think that's kind of everything more or less covered. Thank you so much for jumping on, Amanda.
Hopefully we've inspired somebody to go off and do something, or to ask some questions, or to do some searches.
Hopefully that's what it's all about. So guys, again, if anyone's interested, if anyone's watching the replay, I'll post a link to the group for the replay. So yeah, obviously if you're live, you're not going to be able to jump on to your live this evening.
The link for the live is lurking about. I'll be on in about 20 minutes. I'm just going to go and feed the creatures before they ransack my office downstairs and do whatever. And yeah, anybody who wants to pop on and come and find out what it is we're doing something ridiculous with, and have earned, I think, 6 holidays to Canada now next year in the team, which is a bit scary. It would be lovely if we did Mauritius. We earned Mauritius last year. Obviously, we didn't get Mauritius because COVID came along, and they very kindly gave us money instead.
Oh, that's nice of them. Wow.
So we like that. But it would be lovely if anybody wants to learn more. You do, however, have to be in the UK.
There you go. So yeah, a couple of nice comments there as well. Thanks so much. It's been fascinating, inspiring, and aspirational as ever, both of you. Thanks, guys. Okay, well, listen, thank you again, Amanda, and